Hi, it's me, RachaelLyn, and today is Teaching Tuesday. Today I have an idea that I came up with somewhat, not completely on my own. I had heard of having job applications in first, second grade for classroom jobs. And so I decided to try it in kindergarten, and then I came up with, on the spur of the moment, I decided to just do it, and I came up with a job application for my kindergartners to fill out. And we talked about how when you have a job, you have to fill out an application, and you kind of have to ask for the job. And I told them about how I applied for this job and the current job that I have, and that we kind of related it to the real world. So this is a very, very, very real world situation. So I quickly just kind of typed this up right before we did the activity. And then what I did is I got all of my classroom jobs. I took them off of my pocket charts, and then we went over all the jobs, what the jobs were, what they had to do, and then we went over the job application, and I taught them how to do it step by step, because this is the first time we've done it. So let me take a step back and let you know how the jobs work in my classroom. So up until this school year, I have always had weekly jobs, and I just kind of rotated my kids through the jobs. Well, sometimes you get kids that are excited about their job, and sometimes you get kids that are not as excited about their job, and they don't really want to do their job, and so they don't really do their job. I also found that with a bigger class like I have now, and then last year compared to my first 3 years of teaching kindergarten, is because I went from a very small school. I had 6 and 7 kids. I had my first 3 years of teaching, I had 11 kids, and then I had 7, and then I had 6, and then last year was my 4th year teaching kindergarten. I had 24, and this year I have 17. So going from a very small school to a very large school made a huge difference in having to reteach jobs often, and giving everybody a job, and that is a really big pain for me to do as a teacher, and having to reteach just about every single job every single week is very tiring. So I decided this year that my students were going to have their jobs for an entire month. This way, Mondays are no longer hectic in the afternoons, unless it's today, the first Monday of the month. Mondays are no longer hectic because the kids already know their jobs. They just do them, and they can do them well. And if they're not doing their jobs very well, then I have several days, I have several weeks to reteach these jobs. So for August, we didn't really have jobs because we only had a couple of weeks, and they were just learning how to be in school. September, I just kind of assigned a few jobs here and there, and then grew to more jobs as we went on through the school year. October was the first month that everybody had a job, and I just assigned them jobs like I normally did. And then now we're in November, and I decided to, do the system where they are applying for their own jobs, and it worked out so well, and I just wanted to kind of tell you about it because I was very, very, very pleasantly surprised with what I got from my students. So I have to hide my students' faces, and I don't feel like taking them all out. But one job is line leader. This is the one job that I rotate through weekly. It's a very, very simple job. So I just keep this job, and then whoever is line leader actually has 2 jobs for that week. I also have a prayer leader. We have prayer in school, and this person reminds me to pray and at different prayer times, and then they also get to use the microphone and actually pray out loud with everybody. I have 2 garbage collectors. The garbage collectors, they collect the little bins on each table that collects scraps and things like that from doing cutting and pasting activities, as well as the 3 little trash bins around the classroom that me and my assistant use. I have 2 librarians. The librarians put away any books that people cannot figure out where they go. They also organize the library, make sure that the books are nice and neat, and then make sure that all of the books are in the right bins. The librarians also take the library books to the library on the morning that we have library as a special class. I have 2 teachers helpers. These students do almost everything. They take messages to the office. They take messages to other teachers. They get snack drinks, and they take the crate back to the cafeteria. They help out in so many different ways. If there's anything else that I need help with, they're the first ones that I ask. So there are 2 of them because they need to travel in pairs in the hallways, and so that is a huge job to be a teacher's helper. I have 3 table cleaners. They clean off the tables with wipes at the end of the day. I have 1 pencil monitor. This person, at the end of the day, they collect all of the dull pencils from the tables, and then they replace them with sharp pencils. I have my assistant sharpen the pencils. I used to have pencil sharpeners, but as a job, but the kids in kindergarten, they have a hard time using the electric pencil sharpeners appropriately, so I have my assistant do that now, and the pencil monitor just kind of like trades out pencils at the end of the day. I have 1 line monitor. This job is, their job is to start the game Quiet Mouse whenever we are in line and waiting. That's a game that really just keeps the kids quiet, and whoever is being the quietest and standing in line the nicest, they get to be the next mouse, and then they choose somebody else. I have 3 people on my cleanup crew. They get to use mini dustpans and brooms, and then they get to just kind of sweep up the floor at the end of the day. I have 1 calendar helper. This person kind of fills everything in for calendar for the next day, and they do this at the end of the day. I have 1 substitute that just kind of fills in if somebody is absent, or if I have students that are not being responsible enough to complete their jobs, then the substitute will do it. So this is my calendar area, and my calendar helper is responsible for like flipping everything over, adding things, and all of that. This is a bin that I have in my library for students to put books in if they can't figure out where they go when they're picking out new books. And then my librarians just kind of organize everything, make sure everything's nice and neat, like this. And then also making sure that the books are in the correct bins that match their pictures. It's kind of a big job, but you know, they do a little bit every day. Okay, so this is the job application that I had them fill out. I put this up on the smart board and kind of filled it out with them. When they filled out their name, I had them write their first and their last name, so that's good first and last name writing practice. And I told them, I said, on a real job application, you have to put your first and your last name. I also told them that you also have to write your address, and they all kind of freaked out. And I said, don't worry, we're not writing our address, because they don't know it. At least most of them don't know it, and if they do know their address, they don't know how to write it. So, they were kind of freaking out about that, but I said, don't worry about it. Right now, we're not going to be doing that. They did have to write the date, and so we've been working on that all through October. We've been writing how to correctly write the date, and so they had to do that. And then I had all the jobs up on the smart board, and they wrote which job they would like. So I would like the job, and they wrote what job they wanted, and then I gave them a second choice, or I would like the job, and gave them a chance for their second choice. I also had them write a sentence about why they want the job. I talked to my kids about how in a lot of job interviews, they want to know why you want that job. And so we talked about how, you have to be responsible to have a job. You have to, if you're going to be the teacher's helper and you're going to be going to get snack drinks or taking messages, you have to walk in the hallway, and you have to just a lot of different things for different jobs, like responsibilities that you would have to do. And so we talked about that, and then some of them wrote some pretty interesting things. I also told them, I said, keep in mind those students that are more responsible and do the correct things and they do a great job like with their behavior, they're more likely to get the jobs that they want, because I need responsible people to do responsible jobs. So they were kind of looking at me like, oh no, because I didn't tell them this ahead of time, but that's not the way life works. And so it was very, very cool. I really, really, really enjoyed doing this with them. I plan on doing this in the future. I am keeping track of who has done what job, so that next month I will know which jobs have been filled by who, and so I'm not going to double up. I have about 10 jobs, so that's like one job a month. So unfortunately I can't really count September, but there's about 10 months in the school year, so there might be like one job they don't get to do. Now I do have like 3 people that fill a certain job, but if they only do one job once, then they would need 10 jobs for each month of the school year. So now if I had more kids, I would have to have more jobs, or I would have more students doing the same job. I might have 4 people on the cleanup crew. I might have 4 people wiping tables. So I can like add and subtract jobs that way. I can also take out, how many jobs I have altogether. They can always repeat a job at the end of the year if I don't have enough jobs, to fulfill the whole school year. They seem to kind of really get into it and take it mostly seriously. There's always a couple that don't take it seriously, and I just kind of had to give them a leftover job. I really just wanted to share this because I thought that it worked out really, really well, at least for this one time. Today was our first official day in their new jobs, and I feel like they did a great job. I only had to really help a couple of students because they kind of felt like they knew what they were doing, because they were really excited to do that job. So I'm really hoping that this is something that I can continue. I also really like this because this is something completely free. I didn't have to spend a single penny on this activity at all. I just typed up the job application, I printed it out, we did it together. The job cards I already had. If I didn't have those, I think I got those for free on Teachers Pay Teachers. I can't remember where I got them, but if I didn't get them for free, like, those are something that you can easily make yourself. I even had to make the one that said prayer leader because that's not on there. And that's not something that every school is going to have either. So that's something that I added, and still didn't cost me anything. I just kind of like made the card, didn't even have a picture with it. So pictures of course help with the younger grades, but it wasn't necessary. I really hope that this continues to go well, especially later in the year, once they are they've done all of the jobs that they really want to do, and then they're kind of stuck with jobs that they don't really want to do. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see how that goes. I might even just let them redo certain jobs if it's something that they really, really want to do. So I think it just kind of depends. I'm not really sure where I'm going to go with it. I may even add some things that they have to do on their job applications, but I really like that this is extremely cost effective, and it gets the kids excited to be responsible. Go ahead and give me a like, leave me a comment down below, let me know what you think about it. Go ahead and subscribe if you are not already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.